channel. Bookdown #7.
Bruh.
After a very close 2003 season, Formula One moved into 2004 with a lot of hope for an equally exciting season. Would this actually happen? Or would there be another dominant year from a team or driver? Let's find out by diving into this week's History of Formula One video. Ferrari had now been constructor champions for 5 consecutive seasons and Michael Schumacher the drivers' champion for 4 consecutive seasons. The record-breaking German was retained for the new season, as was Rubens Barrichello. Williams also retained Ralf Schumacher and Juan Pablo Montoya, and after coming so close to both titles the previous year, they were looking for another championship challenge. McLaren also retained their two drivers from 2003, with nearly championship winning Kimi Raikkonen partnering David Coulthard once more. Renault had Fernando Alonso line up alongside Jarno Trulli, whilst BAR had Takuma Sato and Jenson Button in their respective lineup. Sauber got race winner Giancarlo Fisichella alongside Felipe Massa, the young Brazilian returning to the team. Jaguar had Christian Klein and Mark Webber, whilst Toyota chose Cristiano da Mata and Olivier Panis as their two drivers. Jordan were falling a bit and chose Nick Heidfeld and Giorgio Pantano, whilst Minardi had Gianmaria Bruni partner Zolt Baumgartner, Hungary's first Formula One driver. Regulation changes included a third car for a test driver in Friday practice if the team hadn't finished in the top 4 of the constructors the previous year. Qualifying was now divided into two sessions on Saturday, both one-lap shootouts. The order in which the drivers went out for the first session was the last race's result, and then the first session's result will determine the second session's running order in reverse order. Also, warm-ups were abolished, and the two qualifying sessions took place back to back. Fully automatic gearboxes and launch control were banned, and an engine must last the entire weekend, with a penalty incoming if it broke down. Calendar-wise, we had two new Grand Prix in Bahrain and China, respectively, but the Austrian Grand Prix was dropped. The longest season of Formula One so far also included the return of the Belgian Grand Prix, whilst the Brazilian Grand Prix was moved from the beginning of the season to the season finale, and the US Grand Prix was moved from the middle part of the season to make the double header with the Canadian Grand Prix. Ferrari once again started the season with a front row lockout in Australia, but this time it stayed that way in the race, with Michael Schumacher starting the season brilliantly with a pole to win. Alonso climbed up to third in the race after starting fifth, whilst the Williams cars didn't look as good as the previous season with a 4-5 finish, Ralph ahead. Button took home some points for BAR and truly made sure Renault got a double points finish in 7th, whereas Coulthard salvaged a point in what had been a miserable weekend for McLaren. Round 2 in Malaysia saw Michael take another pole position, but with a surprising and surprised Mark Webber alongside him. Sadly for him, he spun off during the race. Schumacher soared to yet another win, with Montoya second and Button with a first career podium in third. Barrichello and Trulli got fourth and fifth respectively, Coulthard sixth, Alonso seventh, and Massa got the point for Sauber. Formula One's first ever Bahrain Grand Prix saw Michael take a third consecutive pole position with teammate Barrichello alongside him. The Ferraris would stay in this order and get a 1 to win the race, meaning Schumacher had won 3 races out of the 3 this season. Button again managed the third place, with BAR steaming strong, as Sato also got points in fifth. Trulli finished fourth ahead of teammate Alonso in sixth, and Ralf Schumacher and Webber completed the points, with the McLarens having another disastrous weekend, with Raikkonen having not even finished the race so far this season, and the team only had 4 points on the board. The 10th anniversary of the tragic 1994 San Marino Grand Prix brought a weekend of commemoration and a surprise first-time pole-sitter in the form of Jenson Button. Sadly for him, Michael Schumacher outpaced him to the win on Sunday, but it was a really good progress for the British driver, now with 3 consecutive podiums. Montoya got third ahead of Alonso and Trulli, whilst Barrichello only managed 6th this time around despite starting 4th. Ralph got 7th, while Raikkonen finally got a point on the board in 8th. Michael returned to pole position at the next round in Spain, with the German driver then achieving a 5th victory in the season's 5 races so far and consolidating his very high chance of a 5th consecutive title and 7th overall. Barrichello helped Ferrari get another one too, while Trulli led the Renault 3-4. Sato got 5th, with Ralf Schumacher behind him. Fisichella got 7th and Button only got 8th this time around. Trulli then took a surprise pole position in Monaco. Michael Schumacher had the chance of another victory, but a crash with Montoya under safety car prevented him from keeping his perfect record this season. Instead, Jarno took a first win, followed closely by an ever so impressive Jenson Button. Barrichello salvaged the podium for Ferrari, while Montoya recovered to fourth. Sauber jumped ahead of McLaren in the constructors with Massa's 5th place, highlighting how bad the Mercedes-backed team was doing. Damata, Heidfeld, and Panis also scored points, and only 3 cars weren't lapped. A third of the way into the season, MBAR were already third in the constructors, chasing second place Renault and ahead of Williams, with Ferrari having a 36 points gap already at the front. In the drivers, Schumacher only had a 12-point barrier to Barrichello in second, as the Brazilian had been quite close to his championship dominating teammate, and Button and Trulli weren't that far away, so it was still all to play for at the top. The European Grand Prix once again took place at the Nürburgring, and Michael dominated the weekend to achieve a home pole to win and to help Ferrari grab another 1-2. Button still performed good, with third place and a 5th podium in Formula 1 end of the year. Trulli led the Renault 4-5, Fisichella pushed Sauber even more ahead of McLaren with 6th place, and Webber and Montoya rounded up the points. The season with the most races outside Europe in the history of the championship up until that point then moved to Canada. It was the Schumacher on pole again, but it was Ralph, with Michael starting only 6th. Despite this, Michael fought back and eventually won the race, with the Williams drivers 2nd and 4th. However, illegal breakdowns meant that day and the Toyotas were disqualified, and so Ferrari got yet another one too. Patton again ended up behind them, and Fisichella got an amazing fourth for Sauber. McLaren finally had a good race, gaining 5th and 6th place after disqualifications, and so claiming valuable points, with Kimi ahead. And the Jordan drivers were classified 7th and 8th after the disqualifications. Glock ahead, making it a brilliant day for them too. Rubens beat Michael to pull at the next round at Indianapolis, but Michael went for the win in the race. Sato claimed the first podium behind them, profiting from a good starting position in the first lap incident, and Trulli and Panis also got to 5 placements. Kimi led the McLaren 6-7 to recover 5th in constructors, and Baumgartner got his first point in Formula 1. Montoya was disqualified for an illegal car change, marking a bad weekend for Williams, as Ralph crashed in the race, suffering an injury at a scary bank corner and indirectly causing the mayhem to follow the following US Grand Prix. Mark Hane stepped up in place of Ralph Manicur, where Alonso took a surprise pole position. Sadly for him, for the fourth time in a row and the ninth time in the season's 10 races so far, Michael was on top in the race. Alonso instead prevented another Ferrari 1-2, with teammate Trulli 4th, Button 5th, Coulthard 6th, Raikkonen 7th, and Montoya 8th behind in the points. McLaren finally has something to smile about, with Kimi taking pole at Silverstone, but was outclassed by Michael Schumacher in the race, the German seemingly never stopping winning. Barrichello got third, with Button, Montoya, Fisichella, Coulthard, and Weber all in the points paying positions. Pizzonia then replaced Henne at Williams for the German Grand Prix, where Michael again stepped up to a pole to win at home and a sixth win in succession, sharing the podium with Button and Alonso. Coulthard, Montoya, Weber, Pizzonia, and Sato all also scored points. Another perfect pole to win from Michael in Hungary, and the Ferrari 1-2 sealed their sixth consecutive constructors title in a row. Alonso got third, Montoya fourth, Button fifth, Sato sixth, whereas Pizzonia once again did well with a seventh place ahead of Fisichella. Trulli got another pole position in Belgium, but Kimi Raikkonen fought and denied Michael Schumacher yet another win, with him winning McLaren's first race of the year, something that would have looked very unlikely at the start of the year. The German, though, was happy to increase his record championship tally up to 7 titles, with his teammate just behind him. Massa and Fisichella delivered a superb Sauber 4-5. Klein got points for Jaguar in 6th, ahead of Coulthard and Panis. Both championships decided the Italian Grand Prix proved to be an extremely good weekend for Barrichello, which only now took his first win of the season with a dominant pole to win. Michael was second, while third and fourth placed Button and Sato lifted BAR up to second in the constructors, ahead of Renault. Montoya finished fifth, Coulthard sixth, Pizzonia seventh, and Fisichella eighth. The first ever Chinese Grand Prix in Formula One saw Barrichello take an equally dominant pole to win, with Michael starting from the P lane and only finishing 12th. Button and Raikkonen got second and third respectively, and Alonso, Montoya, Sato, Fisichella, and Massa also got points. Then, in Japan, Michael himself returned to the top with a pole to win, ahead of much better in terms of health brother Ralph, and with Button ahead of Sato in third, pretty much securing BAR's unbelievable second place in the constructors. Alonso, Raikkonen, Montoya, and Fisichella also got on the scoring sheets. Finally, there was the Brazilian Grand Prix. Barrichello took pole, but his unlikely run of Brazilian Grand Prix continued, as he only finished third. Instead, in what had been only the third non-Ferrari win of the season, Montoya won his last race for Williams before switching to McLaren for 2005. Kimi got second, Alonso fourth, Ralph fifth, Sato sixth, Massa eighth, and Michael Schumacher finished an unbelievably dominant season in a non-representative to his form 7th place. So, it had been an extremely good year for the Maranello-based squad, but there would be a hierarchy change in 2005 which would change up the order. Until then though, like, subscribe, and goodbye.